So welcome back. I'm hoping that the last couple of episodes helped you out. Hope it makes sense to you. Whatever it is that you still are struggling with or that you need help on, feel free to write a message down below. Making sure that you like and subscribe, share these videos, tell other people about them. I'm here to help you. And that's why, I've mentioned this so many times before. This is why we frame all of this as we help instead of self-help. Self-help is lonely. Self-help means that you got to go do all this work on your own. And I'm telling you, I'm here to help you. And I will help you. Just reach out. We can go back over these things that you can't quite get working for you, and we'll break it down. This is just a generic way of being able to try to explain these things for the mass of people. Most of the time when I do my teachings, it's more one-on-one. It's more of a conversation that I am having with an individual, and we get a little real and a little deep. And so one of the things that I'd like to do with this particular episode is I'm just going to relate some stories about how I got this to work for me in examples, and kind of explained, why it worked. So I want to start with this one. There was a day when I was at my job that I had to stay over, and I usually only bring enough food for that shift. Because I had to stay over, I went and I started looking at the vending machines. Now, I don't usually buy things out of vending machines. I don't eat that kind of food. And the only thing that was in there that I was willing to eat was popcorn. It cost $1. Now, I don't carry any cash with me. That's not the world today. Most of us don't carry cash. I know that I could ask somebody there to borrow the $1. Shoot, they most likely would have just given it to me. But I just kept sitting there focusing on, that popcorn, how I'd kind of like that popcorn, and focusing on that $1. And I could taste the popcorn. Can't you? I mean, I just mentioned popcorn, and I'm sure you can taste it in your mouth because, we're wired that way. And, popcorn, who doesn't love popcorn? And so I'm out walking around the building and everything, and I go out to the smoking area. And there's this guy out there, and he starts, talking to me and stuff, and you can't tell, I'm a friendly person, and so I chat with everybody. So I go and I hand him a cigarette, and next thing I know, in his other hand, he's like putting his hand out and shaking my hand, and he goes, no, I want to pay for it, and there you go. And he gave me the $1. Now, that whole story, from the moment I was looking at that vending machine and had decided on that popcorn, to the time that I had that $1 in my hand, was under 10 minutes. That's how quick it can work. But this is also a story to tell you about why it worked and about opportunities. See, had I not gone outside, I would not have interacted with that individual. And this is ownership of choice. Now, going out there, I could have decided, I'm not going to talk to him. Because, I didn't really know him that well. I had seen him there, but, I wasn't his friend or anything. And, I could have, just been all closed up. And how many times have we been like that when we were out? You just don't want anyone to bother you. Or, you're just on a mission kind of a deal. And so you don't, engage in any kind of social contact or things. And that's a mistake. I'm going to tell you right now, if that's you, change it. You absolutely have to change that. So I started talking to him, and then that the fact that you know he asked for the cigarette. Now, I'm I'm going to tell you, I'm an only child and I don't share. Uh, and so most of the time I wouldn't share, uh, but I did. And I didn't do it for any other reason, just to just be nice. And I didn't expect that he was going to actually give me $1 or whatever. I didn't say, hey, by the way, how much you're going to give me, you know. But see, the thing is that this is the opportunities, and this is why I say things aren't going to come A to B. Had I not gone outside, had I not engaged in that conversation that he started, had I not been willing to give something that I had and share. I always talk about being of service, and that is being of service. This individual wanted something, and I was easily available to be of service to him. Had I not done that, I would have never achieved my goal. But I did, and there it was, in under 10 minutes. Now you could just say, oh, that's a coincidence, and we already talked about that. Coincidence doesn't exist. That was life manifesting. I had sat there and I thought about that dollar, about that popcorn. I told you, I could taste it. And there it was. This stuff happens all the time. And the thing is it's going to happen in your life, and it's happening in your life. And you need to start recognizing it. You need to start recognizing it, and you need to start acknowledging it. The more you acknowledge it, not only are you acknowledging it to life, but you're acknowledging it to yourself. And then you'll be able to start opening yourself up to see how these connections are made, how all of this stuff works and flows through you. Life is always about connections. Absolutely always. So there was this other time that I got mad at the place I was living at. The apartment was going to be raising the rent, and I just was unwilling to pay what they were asking for. And so I knew I hadn't been happy there for a while. Bad maintenance, you live in apartments, you understand. And I had decided I need to move. And so I sat there and I started thinking to myself, what do I want out of my next apartment? And I sat there and I just kind of visualized it. I sat in the apartment I was about ready to leave, and I could just visualize. I could visualize what I wanted the kitchen to look like, what the living room. I'm sitting there. I could imagine sitting on the couch. I knew what the furniture was going to be like. I could picture all of this. And so with that in my mind, I got online and I started going to like those sites like the rent.com and things like that. And I started typing in the things that I required from the new place. And then I kind of drew a circle around where I worked. And I said, all right, so within this space here, I'm willing to spend this amount of money to get what it is that I want. And I started making a list of the apartments. And I made a list. I started talking to people. I started asking them, hey, have you ever lived in this place? What do you think about this? Do you know anything about this? And I just, had conversations with everyone I was coming in contact with. And then the next day after I had my list, I went out and I started to work my way down the list. I'd called these people up and made arrangements to be able to go in and to see these apartments. And on the very first apartment that I was supposed to go and check out, because I was moving into an area that I did not know, I missed the turn. And instead, I had to turn around in a driveway. And when I was turning around in this driveway, there was a sign that was there that said apartments for rent. Now, I'm not really sure what happened. I mean, logically, I called the number. But I turned around and then I went looked at the first apartment. I didn't really care for it too much. Went and looked at the next one and the next one, and then it got around lunchtime, and I realized there'd be no one there to be able to show me any more apartments. And so I went and had lunch, waiting my time out, and my phone rings, and it's this lady on there, and she says, "You called about apartments." And I said, "Yeah, I've called about a lot of them." I said, "Which one is this one?" And she's telling me, and I'm like looking at my list, and I'm like, "Well, that one's not on the list." And I'm like, I asked her, I said, "So, where is that in relation to where I'm at the moment?" And she's like, "Oh, well, I'm not really sure about the area." And I said, "Oh, it don't matter." I said, "When can I come look at it?" And she goes, "When would you like to?" I said, "Now." And she's like, "How about half an hour?" And I said, "Yeah, that's fine." Um, and I said, "I'll just Google the address. I'll figure it out." And it turned out that it was the address uh, where I had turned around at. And I came in and I started looking around at the apartment. And I realized, I was talking with the gentleman, and I said to him, I said, "This one wasn't showing up on my list of possibilities. And they said, "Well, we don't advertise." And I'm like, "Oh, it's a family owned business and building, and it has a lot of family living in it. And so, therefore, they're real picky about who they let in." And so, we're going and we're looking at this apartment. And now, I tend to talk out loud to myself a lot. Um, Once again, only child. And I'm like, talking about like what I'd be able to kind of do with the space, because I'm trying to trying to imagine, because I already told you, I already knew what I wanted, and I knew what it looked like. And so I'm trying to conjure that image that I've got and see if it's matching up, or what I would be able to do with this space to get it to match that image. And he says to me, "It sounds like you're looking for someplace a little bit bigger." He goes, "We've got another place if you want to look at it." And I said, "All right." So where is it? He goes, "Oh, it's down on this floor." And I'm like going, "All right, let's go." So we walked in, we started looking around. And out of all the places I looked at, it was the only place I took photos of. And I just started looking around, and I could not believe it. And so um, I talked with him about, like the price and that stuff. And I kind of explained like the situation that I was currently in and stuff. And I told him, that I'll get back with him tomorrow. I said, "No, there's other apartments I still want to go look at and stuff like that." And so I went to work. And so at work, I'm talking to people, "Well, how did your apartment hunting go?" And so I start telling them. And I keep telling them about, this one apartment. And so when I was sitting there and I was looking at the list of the places I was going, I started judging them based upon this one apartment. Now, the thing is at that point, it should have already clicked in my brain, but it didn't. But then, it finally flipped. And I realized that, there's no reason to continue looking. Because if you're judging everything by the basis of the one place, and the one place is available, the search is over. And so I called them back the next day and said, "I'll take it." It didn't matter. It didn't matter what the price was. I said, "I'll take it." Now, the point of this story is that most of the time, when people make a mistake, they get distracted, they get upset, and because of that, they start building a wall. Once you allow anger into a situation, you no longer have a bridge. You've built a wall, and you can't get around the wall. All you can do is beat your head up against it. And so when I missed the turn and I had to turn around, instead of getting upset at that, I know one key principle about life, that every single time that something's going to come my way, when there's a great opportunity, life is going to make sure that I'm there. And that if it means knocking me off of the plan or off of my course of action, because as we've explained, it doesn't come A to B. It's not always going to come direct, and not everything's going to work out the way you had envisioned. And so, had I not understood that, I may have been mad that I had missed that turn and had to turn around because I was under a time restraint. How many times have we been in that situation to where, we have to be somewhere at a certain time and something slows us down, or we make a wrong turn and now we got to try to fix that, and all of this and all that pressure just starts, crushing in on you. See, that's when you need to be alert, because that's opportunity. That's when it's coming knocking on the door. That's when life has knocked you off your path to set you up for something you didn't even know existed. And you need to be alert. You need to know that you need to grab whatever that is, because it's all for your benefit. And that's what I did. I called that number. Now I'm going to tell you that when I looked back through my phone log, that number that's out there on that sign that I thought I called, it was not in my call log. I never made the call. Now, I don't know how to quite explain that, but that is the truth. Life had a bigger plan for me than I had for myself in that moment. And the funny thing is that this actually was the first place. It wasn't the first apartment I looked at, but it was the first place that life delivered me to. This is how all of this works. So I'm hoping that these two stories will help explain how to be able to process events as they're happening and how things are truly manifested. Once I got in this apartment, I had to have the cable set up, and the cable guy came in, and he walks in and he goes, "Oh, you want it up here in this front room?" I said, "Nah, keep going back." And he goes farther back, and he's like, "This is a pretty nice place," as he's kind of just like looking around. And I'm like, "Yeah, it'll be better once I get it unpacked and everything." And he turns and walks into this other room, and he just stops and he says, "Oh my God." And I said, "I know. Isn't it wonderful?" He could not believe how much space this apartment has. And how I found it? My intention. By putting it into action and having clear, concise thoughts about my desire. I could picture myself here. I could picture myself sitting on that couch in this furniture. Everything that I had desired got delivered. And it was all, if you want to look at it this way, all because of a misturn and a mistake. But there's no mistakes. Everything happens for a reason. I want you to start thinking about the times in your life when you think you've messed up. Times in your life where you think you've made a mistake. And I want you to go back and I want you to reevaluate that situation. And you'll never know what it is you missed. That's one of the tricks. Because once you've missed it, it's gone. Had I gotten mad, had I not paid attention at that point, this place would be occupied by somebody else. But instead, it's mine. And I love it. But I want you to think about those moments where you got upset, and about the times that you think you made a mistake, and how you allowed that to influence you. We talked about those relationships and about that vibration. That's what all of this is about. Having healthy relationships with your thoughts and yourself, and understanding how all of this works and how life works. You are enough. You've always been enough. So until next time, you take care.